continuing to say yes,
Yes.
starting
Hmm.
small and it grows bigger, 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 bigger. And
Hmm.
then you'll find yourself beautifully at that place where God has appointed you to be.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of People, Profits, Policy. This is Tanya Austin, and I'm so excited to be here with my guest, April Johnson of April Awakening Coaching. And so, super excited about her and her company, April Awakening. So, just to tell you a little bit about April, April is the founder of April Awakenings life coaching and consulting business dedicated to helping individuals embrace new beginnings and achieve fulfillment. The business offers life and spiritual coaching, horticultural therapy, professional development, neuro linguistic programming, and community revitalization consulting. April holds a BA in economics and a Master of Urban and Environmental Planning. She has served in leadership roles such as Director of Community Engagement and Giving at Housing for New Hope and Executive Director of Preservation Durham. She is also active in volunteer roles, including board member and governance chair of the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation and board member of the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions. Certified in life coaching and NLP by Triune Coaching and Consulting, April integrates her passions for traveling, Latin dance, nonprofit governance, plant therapy, historic architecture, and personal development into her work. Her mission is to revitalize individuals and communities through her expertise and dedication. Let's all welcome Miss April Johnson. Woo!
Thank you for that lovely introduction.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And it's so much like we can unpack your bio just all by itself
I know.
because it is so loaded. You're such
Yes.
an expansive person. And so, in your own words, if you don't mind, tell us who you are in your own words, please.
Well, Tanya, just like you said, I'm very expansive. I have an interest in a lot of things, and I always found it hard to focus on one thing.
Mhm.
But yes, I am April Johnson Choice. I am a person that loves personal development and growth. And I try to do it in every area of my life. And so I was interested in cities. You know, I love cities, I love to travel. And so I decided to explore that in a different way. I originally went to school for economics, and I realized sitting in an office all day or doing math day wasn't going to truly excite me and inspire me in life. And
Mhm.
so I spoke with a professor, math all day,
Right.
you know, and he said, well, you did very well in a particular class, which is what they kind of use to measure how well you would do in grad school. Um, and so he said, well, what do you really want to do? And I was like, he said, what do you love? I said, I love cities. Isn't that weird? He said, no. He said, that's the thing. And he explained to me urban planning. And his fiance at the time was an urban planner, and she worked in Greensboro. And so I met with her. I read more about urban planning. I wasn't quite sure. I love downtowns and things of that sort. Anyway, one thing led to another. I finally went to grad school, and here I am today. And today it's my life has just been about growth. And that's what I continue to do in my life, and hope to help others do the same.
So tell me about growth and expansion. How does that correlate together?
Growth for me is I always have a high vision of where I'd like to be in life. And sometimes it's a little too high. And my setback in life has been I have this high vision of where I like to be in life, but it's probably a little like too high. I don't believe in saying things are too high, but
No.
too high for your belief system. My mindset wasn't there. My imagination was there, but my mindset wasn't there. And so I would get frustrated in life because I wasn't at this high part, but I wasn't doing the work because I didn't have the self belief that I could even take part 2, not reach 10, but I couldn't get to 2, well, maybe 2, but maybe not 3.
Mm.
And so I think as I prayed one time I prayed about it, and I felt like God was telling me, give yourself experiences. And so that will help build your confidence. So taking baby steps to moving forward in life helped me. Um, Leadership roles is saying yes to life when opportunities came to me, reading and preparing myself and knowing that I could do it. And so all of these things started to come to me slowly but surely in life. And I began to see myself as a leader and began to be a leader and step in. Now I'm to the point, I used to be nervous. Even when I was an executive director, I was so nervous about taking that position.
Right.
You could give me any position now. I'm not, because you know why? I took a step before, and when I didn't know how to do a thing, I figured out how to do it. And I've done it so many times and have been successful that I'm not afraid to take chances. And so the expansion comes from just living life and saying yes to life and not rejecting it. It comes from not ignoring the pushes that get you to your next, that can help you get to your next level. Accepting mentors in your life, accepting people who will feed into you, and also not depending on outside sources to build you up, but start to build yourself up as well. So I had to, life experiences give you the confidence that you need to move to the next level. And so see, every time you have a setback in life, I have gotten to the point where I say, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you. I'm grateful for this lesson. I'm grateful for this. The setback, where did I go wrong? And, you go back and you do some self-reflection, and you explore the darkness within or the self-doubt within, and you just really explore that. And the one thing you have to do with that, which is what I'm learning, this is what I'm coming through now, is learning to love yourself even in that darkness and accept it. And so, okay, this is a part of who I am. I can either alchemize it, use it to help me grow and be a better version of myself, or I can sit and stay in self-loathing, in a self-loathing position and not expand and grow. So I'm choosing growth.
April,
Yes.
you have said so much and it's heavy. So I want to unpack it. So at this point, I asked about growth and expansion and how that correlates, right? So now, how do you go from being apprehensive to being in the forefront to saying, oh, this is what I'm going to do? I can do it, because you said, I'm not afraid. Whatever position comes, I know I can do it. Take me through that. How was that transition for you?
I love to plan for things. So I said, yes, of course. Then, well, after a few meetings, I was asked to speak. I said, say what? Be one of the speakers. And I was like, I told myself I was going to say yes. And public speaking was one of those things that I knew that I struggled with, though I had to do it in my job in a public hearing, but there aren't many people that come to the public hearing. So it just wasn't a big deal.
Right.
And so I said, oh my gosh. And as we began to meet, the police were there, of course, because they have to be part of these planning meetings. And they came to give us a report as we got closer to the day and said, oh, we're now estimating about 5,000 people coming to the event. I about passed out.
I know. My eyes are getting big.
I about passed out. I was like, say what? I was like, oh my God. So I was so nervous. My mentor at the time encouraged me, said, you got this. And I sat down and I wrote down what I wanted to say, and I wanted to be sure it came from the heart. And what I had to do was sit and imagine myself confidently giving my speech. And I had to rehearse it in my mind with all of these 5,000 people staring at me. And I had to rehearse it in my mind with vigor and with passion and from my heart. And so we got there. Thankfully now, my 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 speaking part was after the walk. So there was before the walk rallying and speeches and whatnot, and go-go band. I got the go-go band. There was a go-go band in Greensboro, all black girl go-go band, and I got them there. And so after, thankfully, there weren't that many people that came back. So maybe about half. The police, somebody told me there were still about half the people that came back. I think it was a little bit less than half, but maybe that was good. I just needed to focus.
Just focus, right.
When I got up there, I was nervous. I wanted to pass out. But because I had rehearsed it in my head multiple times, I just went with it. And I told myself, go within. I don't know what happened. I just went and I tried to give it my energy, and I did this and that. And I hear in the background, "Ooh," and I'm like, okay, keep going. I skipped over things, and I was like, all over the place, get nervous. I had to then, close it up and sit down. And so I said, okay, I got it. Okay, I didn't get everything out. I got it out. And so, do you not know, people came up to me and said, that was so good. And somebody came to me and said, April, and it meant a lot coming from her because she's a lawyer, she's a really good speaker. She said, you speak well. You should do that more often. I was like, what? And so, I'm grateful for that opportunity, and that helped me. And then I want to say the next week or the week after, with my with the CEO of the organization, we also opened up for the MLK breakfast at the city, and we got to sit on the stage. So I was sitting on the stage with the mayor and the mayor pro tem and some other leaders.
Wow.
And things of that sort. And again, nervous. This time he wrote the speech because he wanted it to be kind of a plate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feeding back. And you know what? Afterwards, I felt invigorated. I didn't feel more nervous. I was nervous going up at first, but I felt invigorated. And then again, afterwards, people said, you're good at speaking in public. You should do it more often. And I just thought, what? So you just never know what your gifts are or what you have to offer if you don't try, So that's what I learned. And I kept moving forward with that. When you're afraid, when you're most afraid, do it anyway. I was very afraid to be an executive director, but because I didn't want to fail the organization. That's what I kept focusing on. And then I had to remember, no, you have something to offer. They chose you for a reason. Do the best that you can. I got a wonderful compliment from the chair of our local county commission at the time. And it was at the end of my career there at that organization. They didn't know it at the time, but I had just gotten accepted the position for a new position somewhere else. And he told me, he said, April, I just want to say you have done an amazing job with this organization. And you brought it back to life. I want to say a lot of us leaders kind of forgot about the organization, but you came back, you came to speak at public meetings, and you were present. And you reminded us why we need to focus on cultural arts. And so
amazing.
Thank you, for that. And with the CEO of the organization, we also opened up for the MLK breakfast at the city, and we got to sit on the stage. So I was sitting on the stage with the mayor and the mayor pro tem and some other leaders.
Wow.
And things of that sort. And again, nervous. This time he wrote the speech because he wanted it to be kind of a plate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feeding back. And you know what? Afterwards, I felt invigorated. I didn't feel more nervous. I was nervous going up at first, but I felt invigorated. And then again, afterwards, people said, you're good at speaking in public. You should do it more often. And I just thought, what? So you just never know what your gifts are or what you have to offer if you don't try, So that's what I learned. And I kept moving forward with that. When you're afraid, when you're most afraid, do it anyway. I was very
Right.
afraid to be an executive director, but because I didn't want to fail the organization, that's what I kept focusing on. And then I had to remember, no, you have something to offer. They chose you for a reason. Do the best that you can. I got a wonderful compliment from the chair of our local county commission at the time,
Mhm.
and it was at the end of my career there at that organization. They didn't know it at the time, but I had just gotten accepted the position for a new position somewhere else, and he told me, he said, April, I just want to say you have done an amazing job with this organization, and you brought it back to life. I want to say a lot of us leaders kind of forgot about the organization, but you came
Wow.
back, you came to speak at public meetings, and you just, you were present, and you reminded us why we need to focus on cultural arts. Um, and so
Amazing.
thank you, for that. And I couldn't even accept it then. I was like, oh no. I was thinking of the 10 that I wasn't there, I wasn't at, but I wasn't grateful for the 8 that where I was, and the difference that I made, that I jumped the organization from maybe a 2 to an 8, or whatever number. And so we ended up, he wanted to really instill that. He said, let's talk. So we sat down and we had lunch later that week. And he really instilled that, no, you made a difference, and, don't be so hard on yourself. And so I just started to take all of these lessons and tell myself, I am enough and I make a difference. And here's the evidence of that. And this is how I got there. I wasn't afraid. I moved forward. I used the resources that I had, and it helped me to be, a better person, a better leader, and believe in myself.
Fantastic. Because it sounds like, is this, and we're going to segue into the neuro linguistic programming. It sounds like you were telling yourself things so that you could be more effective.
Mhm.
So, how does that correlate with your neuro linguistic programming background certification?
Well, this is a new certification for me, and what attracted me to NLP is that it uses. I love anything that has to do with psychotherapy, and even though it's not therapy, it's not psychotherapy. It's some people consider it pseudoscience, but I think it has a lot of elements that you will find in esoteric science and knowledge, and it blends some of the scientific in there too. But it helps you to really understand the correlation between your brain and your language, and how that affects your behavior, your programming, your habits. And so if you can identify that, and if you can correct that, for lack of a better word, you can really steer yourself to have the outcomes in life that you desire. And so, I'm still studying. I got the certification, but I'm just really trying to really ingrain it. The knowledge is I think it's beautiful. And just a practice that helps you to kind of anchor yourself for success, um, and really practice, um, building the future that you desire for yourself. So everything starts in your mind, and if you can reprogram your mind for success, you'll have it. That's what I love about it, and I hope to be like one of the best. It's through the experience of saying yes one time, saying yes 2 times, saying yes 3 times. And the more you say yes to every small, medium, and large opportunity to expand and grow and face your fears, it's about facing your fear. It's about being afraid and doing it anyway. And I can tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. One year, this is a great example. Gosh, what year was this? This had to be, let's see, 2017, 2018. It had to be 2017 because or 2018, because it was the new year 2018. And I think it was when we had the Women's March, the second year. And we had it locally in Winston-Salem. I was living in Winston-Salem at the time, and I was also the president of a young professionals organization in Winston-Salem. And going into that year, I told myself, Shonda Rhimes had this thing called the Year of Yes, I believe it was called. I don't know if you remember that. It was the Year of the Yes. And she had written a book on it. And I've seen a couple of interviews, and she, though she was greatly successful, she was still struggling herself with saying yes to things that she was afraid of as they came to her. And when she did say yes, she noted that she grew exponentially. And though I didn't read the book yet, I just saw a few interviews, and I said, I'm going to take that on. I'm going to say yes. And of course, many people have the fear of speaking in public. And so I was asked as a local leader of a community or organization to be a part of the Women's March planning team. Of course, that was easy at helping people transform their lives.
But it sounds like to me you used that. I mean, with the way you were, right? And then even with the march, the Women's March, and then they're asking you to speak, and then you took that that message by the horns to continue to say yes, right? Yes. And you're telling yourself, so it's like my interpretation. I love NLP and just making it even more practical, like you were saying. It reminds me of a word where it says the power of life and death is in the tongue. Or it says life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yes.
Because we are what we think, no matter what we believe, other people may say, but it's really true. And I believe that we talk to ourselves more so than anyone else talks to ourselves.
We do. That self-talk is important. It's so important. I think that's why affirmations work. You have to speak life into yourself.
Yeah,
you really do.
Especially when you have new launches, like what you're doing, right? So this is a new launch with what you're doing, and you have your coaching, your certification, but weren't you coaching a little bit before this certification?
In 2017, I got my life coaching practitioner certification from Triune Coaching, and but I was still struggling with that self-belief at the time. I was still, I wanted to help people because I knew what I struggled with. And you know what they say, your problems become your purpose.
Yes.
And so it was such an issue for me that I wanted to help other people, but I wasn't quite there yet myself. And so I think the timing now is great. It's perfect because I think I've had enough ups and downs in life and have seen myself come out and rise like the phoenix to the sun, to the light, to healing, to health, that I can help other people. And at this point in my life, the confidence has just come from, having life experiences and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can help people. It's like now I know exactly who I am. And then I was just thinking the other day that because now I'm wanting to write an ebook or something that, that really provides just some steps for helping people to overcome certain things. And I said to myself, I've already written it because I'm part of a support group online. And I'm the one that'll give step-by-step instructions on how to, what you can do to get your emotions aligned and get yourself on a better path. And I get such great responses. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a book.
Absolutely. That's your social proof.
Yes, it was my social experience. It was.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my goodness, And so the other day, somebody said, excellent list, just excellent, because other people were just giving one-liners and things of that sort. And I'm giving you, here are some 1.1, 3, 3, 3A, 3B, 3C, 4,
Wow.
5, this is what
Wow.
you do, to help yourself
Wow.
overcome this.
Wow.
And so I told myself, you can, April, you already have it within you. And that's the thing. Everything
You
that we
said
have
it.
for life and godliness is what within us already.
You said it. It's within us. And the problem is our belief.
Yes.
That's what I see. The problem is our belief. And when we don't have that belief, it takes us longer.
Yes.
And honestly, it delays the impact, in my opinion. Now, God can redeem the time, and we'll
Yes.
ask Him to do that.
Mhm.
However, how awesome would our triumphs, our efforts be if we believe and kept on doing it, scared, as you say, or continue to move, even though we have questions, and allowing ourselves that grace
Mhm.
instead of having to be perfect from the very beginning.
Yes. That perfection, oh gosh, it'll keep you, it'll hold you back. Yeah.
Totally, it will. Totally, it will. Absolutely, absolutely.
At this point in time, just like you were saying, we left off talking about how, we tell ourselves things, and how I know I've had to, just for a moment of transparency, just pray and ask God, redeem the time, please help me to capture whatever time or impact was lost.
Mhm.
So the last thing I want to do is not finish what I've been put on this earth to do.
Mhm. Right.
And I think we when we question ourselves and we don't get a handle on what we tell ourselves, it hinders us. And then when we get the aha moment, some moments have passed away, but I do believe that there's a grace.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Don't you believe that?
I do. And I believe anyone that we were meant to impact earlier that did not get the impact that they maybe should have received from us, that God took care of it. Someone else came, and assisted that person, if they were ready and willing and open to receive. Um, so I think that God knows and understands that, where we are, that we struggle sometimes without understanding who we are in Him, that He lives within us, and so we can do all things. And it's hard for us to believe it because we have these outside sources that remind us that we're not good enough, or tell us that we can't do anything, or we focus on our failures and let that be a block instead of a stepping stone. And so when we have the right mindset, we see failures as a stepping stone to success rather than a block to success. And that's something that sometimes it takes time. Some people are naturally confident and just go after it. Then some of us hesitate. And so I I blessed everyone I could have blessed earlier, and just have confidence that somewhere in their life they got what they needed. And the people I will help from now on are meant for me to help and assist.
I love it. I love it. So you also mentioned too that you were coaching before
Mhm.
2017. You went through your own transformations, and now you got your certification in NLP. When did that certification complete, and what do you hope to do for your clients?
I completed NLP, I want to say last week. It was last week. The weekend, I'm sorry, the weekend before last.
Okay.
So it's very fresh and very new. And because in 2017, I didn't do, because my confidence wasn't there to continue with the coaching, that did not flourish. And I didn't get the best support from certain people. So I let that, stop me. And so now that I have a better sense of my purpose and my ability, and I know what my gifts are, I know what I can do, I know how I help people, I'm moving forward with it. At this point, yes, I would love to help the masses, but if I only help one person, 5 people, 10 people, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with making whatever impact I'm supposed to make,
Right.
as I move on in my journey of life. And so, but I know that I can help a lot of people, and so I move forward, and it's just, I think it's just us continuing to heal, those parts of us that don't believe, because if we don't believe, we can't help someone else believe. And sometimes we've helped people believe even though we didn't believe in ourselves.
Because
Because
the
sometimes,
gift just comes out.
yes, and it's easier sometimes to believe in somebody else, and I can be a little bit intuitive. I'm a visionary myself. And so I may see someone success and see how they can really go from point A to point D, and encourage that and help build that in them. Um, and it's just a natural thing that I do. I'm naturally inspirational, and encouraging, and a supporter of someone else's come up and evolution. And so, but it's just time to do it officially, and know that you can, and that's the new mindset, knowing that this is who I am and this is what I do.
So good. So good. So good. It's amazing how I love it, because I was writing I have an email, in my email list. I was talking about how entrepreneurship is a faith journey.
Hmm.
And the thing about it is that when you move and you look at other people move, so this is what happens. We look at TV, we look at social media, we look at our neighbor, someone at church, or someone that we know, and they have the success. It's like in our minds, they've had the answer since they were born.
Right.
And we compare our low point to their
Yes.
high point. And I believe that there's no documentation or statistics that I have. It may be out there. I believe women are notorious for this more so than
Oh, yes.
men are, so far as comparing themselves.
Hmm.
And we can just compare and just make ourselves be this big, when guess what? That person has grown so much,
Hmm.
and they were probably where you were.
Right.
Looking at where they are now, and now that makes you feel smaller.
Hmm.
And the very thing that I found even with my clients, because I help women through their career
Hmm.
development, coaching, executive coaching. And so my background is human resources, and I've owned businesses. And so with this, what I have found is that as soon as the aha moment comes out, and I got to capture that time, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Then that's when the momentum can happen. Whether
Right.
it's a career transition, or you're opening a business after having a horrible, traumatic experience on your job, and just holding her hand,
Hmm.
or even his hand. I've had male clients too, women on my heart though, but holding
Hmm.
his hand just to make sure we're not going to think that way anymore. We have a new way of doing things now, and just walking through that process. So my question for you is, you touched on it earlier. What do you think could be or have been the misconceptions of what you do, or what services you offer as a coach?
Um, that it's a pseudoscience, that it doesn't work, that it is a waste of, I'm just going by things that people told me, even people I admire told me it's a waste of time and money. That it's not a profession because you don't have to get a degree in it, in coaching or NLP. And I think there are a lot of people that see it as wishy-washy, and that the people who need the coaching just need to do it. And so a lot of times, especially, I'm just going to talk about the people who say they just need to do it,
Right.
Sometimes people who don't struggle with their confidence or have overcome it maybe in college and had those victories, and now they can really move forward in life, and they're just not afraid. They just have that natural propensity to just go for it and go after it.
Right.
Or they don't hold tight to negative words and failures the way other people may, So you never know what people's traumas are. You never know what people's innermost deep, dark thoughts are, or things about themselves that they don't like and that they're afraid may come to light if they pursued, something. You just don't know people's experiences. And so what coaches do is they are not therapists. We are not counselors. We're not therapists. What we do is we help people to see that they have everything it takes. And we walk them through the process. We talk them through the process, and help them achieve that thing that they feel is a block. And sometimes you may, especially with NLP, you may have to visit the pain point. You may have to visit the dark area in their life. You may have to visit the trauma. But you're bringing it to light only to address it, to see it, to love it, to hug it, to correct the thinking on it, to have a different perception on that thing. And once you do that, that's when you can transform your life, and move past that dark point. It's just that some people, maybe they don't have that kind of issue, and so they don't understand it. And so I've learned to just understand that not everyone understands what coaching is that it's what you do with, I think Tony Robbins is the one who coined the word coaching. And he says it was similar. It was an interview he did with Larry, what's his name? Larry Live? I forgot. Larry King Live. Yes. It was an interview he did with Larry King Live, and he was explaining. Yes.
I just had to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was explaining what he does, and he says it's almost like a coach. And I can't remember his exact words. It's been a long time since I've seen that clip. But it's like you're coaching people to achieve the results they want to achieve in life. And it's the same thing you do with athletes. It's a mental game. So you're helping them get past the block. And so and get to another way of thinking, to envision themselves already there, and then moving and taking corresponding action towards it. So that's what we do. Yes.
It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It is what we do. And the truth of the matter is, coaching, even how you explained it, which was so eloquent and accurate, it's been here since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Robbins, like you said, put a phrase around it, put it in a frame.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had encouragers, we've had teachers, we've had coaches, right, in the sports arena. But we've had those people who encouraged us to think a different thought, do the corresponding action, so that we can get what we need or what we're going for. And
exactly.
The whole quote that, what is it? Learning is never out for the pro. It's just not. I mean, it never ends.
Never ends.
You have to continue to think a new thought, a new vision, a new um, um, way so that you can truly manifest, and I use that word intentionally,
Mm-hmm.
the final results of what that should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Just period. And so we have, and I mean, that to me, I see that as just like a midwife helping to bring that baby out.
Right.
No, she's not carrying the baby, but
He's coaching.
she's coaching. She's coming alongside that mother to push that bad boy out.
Right. Push it
That's
out.
right. I don't want that to do. I don't want to do that. I know where my anointing lies. It's right here. But that is a form of coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I think it's a beautiful thing that people can use. And those who may think that is pseudo science, I understand, where people can be skeptical because I have heard of the same things. However, you have consultants,
Mm-hmm.
you have advisors, you have coaches,
You have coaches.
you have
You have mentors. You have
right. You
you
have
have coaches.
coaches. People to help you honestly, and I'm not watering it down because I am one, but I'm just saying people who will help you keep accountability,
Mm-hmm.
help you think a new thought, and do things better. So that
Right.
and they're vested as well because they care about your future, about what matters to
Yes.
you. Absolutely. So I want to take a little bit of a turn and bring this on home. I want you to tell us about your horticultural therapy, your plant therapy, your love for all things nature. Can you tell us about that? So how do where does that passion come from? Where does that love come from?
Oh, that's gonna be my next certification. I just went ahead and put it in there, speaking it and writing it down. Um, but I became a lover of plants during COVID, actually.
Okay.
Um, so so in 2019, earlier in 2019, I had an ex boyfriend pass away. It was very traumatic for me. And it took me a year and some change to really get past it. I grieved for a long time. Then COVID came right after that. So we were home and I couldn't socialize. I was already kind of in hermit mode during that time in 2019 anyway.
Right.
But now here is COVID and we're stuck at home, not able to really get out. And I was one that always wanted plants in the house. I just couldn't keep them alive. So I was one of those people that just couldn't keep them alive. And so I started to buy plants, you know, um, and got addicted to caring for them. I started to build a garden in the yard. It was just because I had nothing else to do. And I noticed my neighbor, next door neighbor, also he was planting a garden in the back, and it was like 10 varieties of tomatoes, and that was it, like tomatoes and some herbs. I
Mhm.
was like, okay, mix it up a little bit, but it was what I did, and I fell in love with gardening, and it was the best therapy during the grieving time in 2019 before COVID came at the end of 2019. I read about how taking nature walks can help you in your grieving process. And the grieving was affecting my body, so I needed to walk anyway, just to get the bad toxins out and get my energy
Endorphins
better.
flowing. Right.
And so I would take nature walks. I started just enjoying trails, especially by the water, and things of that sort. And it was great. And I read about forest walks, and that the green energy helps your heart chakra. The heart chakra is green, and so
Wow.
it helps heal that. And so I
Wow.
said, okay, I was in Durham at the time, so I'll walk Duke Forest and other trails. They had lots of trails everywhere, and just I fell in love with it. And so I did not fall in love with the snakes. I hated running into snakes, but I fell in love with being out in nature, and I fell in love with gardening. And I felt that that was a part of my healing process. So during COVID, actually creating a garden really helped me. I would dream about the plants. I felt like they spoke to me. I mean, I felt like they helped me to heal and find joy in life again. And then, and then I want to say in 2021 or 22, I was asked to be on the North Carolina Botanical Garden Board. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, how perfect. This is an antique. I'm an advocate. I believe that plants help you heal. You have medicinal plants that you put into your body. You have plants you put on top of your body, and just being around them help you heal. They clean your air. I mean, there's just so many benefits, and it's natural. Comes from God, and it's for us.
Right.
And so when I found out that you can be a licensed horticultural therapist
Wow.
and walk people through healing by gardening and things of that sort, or just being in nature, you can take people on nature walks. Um, Even I had a past traumatic experience. I was on a cruise ship, and I really didn't know much about water meditation. Meditating and praying in your water is extremely transformative, is what they say. But I felt like I overcame the traumatic experience by getting up on top of the deck early in the morning, and just meditating and praying and sitting, quieting my mind and being quiet and listening to the water. And I've been addicted to that ever since. I really believe you can't tell me any different that what helped me to get past it quicker was being around water. There's something about it. And they say spiritually, it just helps cleanse you, especially when you go through a traumatic experience. So, knowing all of this, I want to incorporate that into my business, into my practice for those who enjoy nature or would like a different holistic approach to their healing process, because I know it helped me a lot.
I think that's fantastic. And while you were talking, I thought about I was going through really tough time. It was right at the turn. Remember, 1999 going into 2000. We all thought the world was going to come to an end. December
We
31st,
did
1999.
Y2K.
Woo, we were afraid. But nevertheless, I remember during that time, 99, 2000, I was just dealing with a lot of stuff. I mean, things just weren't working out. I wasn't working, and financially, things were not panning out the way I thought that they would. And I started walking. I
Mhm,
started walking in the park and confessed at that point I didn't like exercise, was not an outside person. I mean, I'm like later for it. I didn't understand why people like to run.
mhm.
So but I needed to get out. I don't know where the idea came from, can't say. I just looked at the park. It looked so peaceful. It was just trees. It wasn't like a play park. It was like,
Mhm,
trees with a cemented trail that had
mhm,
some
mhm,
civilization. But I walked.
mhm,
You're talking about therapeutic.
mhm,
Oh my God. It was like I was sniffing, breathing in oxygen
mhm,
and just blowing the
mm.
toxins out, which is really what we do, right?
Yes.
Breathe in
Mhm.
oxygen,
And
blow out
breathe.
carbon dioxide. And I mean, it was so exhilarating. And it was just like
Mhm,
my mind was just made free, and I
mhm,
could work through processes, and my problems didn't seem to be as hard and heavy as I thought they were. And of
mhm,
course, I used that time to meditate and to
mhm.
pray and to talk to God.
Yes.
But it was also not like, I think, I didn't even think about this. I think also to what it is, April, is, and you correct me if you went through this or not, I didn't feel desperate. It was like a feeling of calm.
Oh, it's exactly what it does.
It's calm, right? Because when you're in desperation mode, no,
You make bad choices.
you're right. You make bad choices. You're eating it just erratically. You're going off at the mouth. But that calm, it does something. And it also, I think, produces even more provision. Like you don't feel like you're in a scarcity, desperation mode. And it allows for a provision of answers, solutions,
It does.
peace to come in.
It's something about, I think it opens you up to hear from God. It opens you up to hear from source, to hear from within. And through your traumatic experience, sometimes when you're loud in your head because you're crying, you're whining, you can't hear. But when you're in nature, like when I was sitting on the deck and just quieted my mind, and all I could hear was the water, that's when I heard. And that's when I got the peace, you know. And it comes and goes. Even this morning, I went and took a walk in nature. Now it had rained the night before, so and I went on a more foresty kind of paved, but foresty kind of trail. I didn't want to go there because I knew I had to come back here, but I went anyway. It was bugs everywhere. Like, just because I love nature doesn't mean I love bugs. And I don't want the snakes around. I don't want the bugs around me like that. And there were too many because it was like wet. So I said, you know what, let me cut this short. And I'm going to come back when the sun is out and dries up all of this extra moisture. But
yes.
But I love it. And it definitely gives you clarity of mind. I use it also to say my affirmations. I let go of the past and I embrace my new beginning. And I thank you, God, for my new beginning. Thank you, God, for my new opportunities. And you just continue to walk and you just thank you. I look at the trees and I thank them for giving me clean air. And so, yeah,
I love it.
Move on.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been.
I enjoy this.
Yes. Is there anything else you'd like to share? So I know you're opening your coaching practice. You're coming alongside. However, how can people get in touch with April Awakenings Coaching if they want to? How would they do that? What are your social media handles?
April Awakens, April Awakenings Coaching on Facebook, and aprilawakenings@gmail.com. My website is in construction right now, and I'm continuing to developing my my learning plans and transform yourself. And that's what I want to incorporate in my practice. That'll be one of the things I incorporate. And hopefully I have my own space to have my own garden for the horticultural therapy, but we may just visit other places to do the gardening aspect. But yes, I look forward to the future.
I'm super excited. Do you feel like this is your life's work?
I do. I feel like it's been my work the whole time. When I think about all the things that I love, this incorporates everything. And so I'm excited about the future and moving towards it. And I'm not thinking about the how, I'm just taking things step by step. And as I feel led, I move confidently towards my dreams and my goals. And then who I help is who I help.
Love it.
Mhm.
Continue to say yes. That's
Yes.
This is what I'm getting out of our talk. Just continuing to say yes.
Yes.
Starting small and it grows bigger, 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 bigger.
Mhm.
And then you'll find yourself beautifully at that place, right? Where God has appointed you to be. Thank you so much, April, for being here. Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I appreciate your time today. We have concluded this, and thank you so much for being a part of People, Profits, and Purpose. Awesome. Take care. Bye now.